Ambassador Elizabeth Morgan's heels struck the polished crystalline floor of the Galactic Council chamber with deliberate force. Each step echoed through the vast circular space, drawing the attention of 24 alien diplomats. The emergency session had been called 3 hours ago, and the tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a plasma blade. Another world burns, rasped Representative Zilks of the Thandorian Collective, their environmental suits translator struggling to convey the depth of emotion in their native tongue. The Nexari colonies. Gone. The massive holographic display dominating the chamber's center showed the devastation in crisp detail. Orbital bombardment had turned thriving cities into seas of molten glass. The Nexari, peaceful agrarians known for their remarkable botanical technologies, hadn't stood a chance against the Craxus Empire's warfleets. Beth, as her human colleagues called her, kept her face carefully neutral as she took her seat at the junior members section. Earth had only held council membership for 6 years, and most species still viewed humans as primitive newcomers who had stumbled onto faster-than-light travel through sheer luck. High Commander Vex Thor of the Craxus Empire stood at the central podium, his scaled ridge crest flaring with barely contained satisfaction. The collective's accusations are baseless. Our peacekeeping forces responded to clear evidence of illegal weapons development. The Nexari threat had to be contained. Weapons development. Beth watched the Thandorian representative's environmental suit ripple with patterns of outrage. They were developing enhanced pollination techniques for desert worlds. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated arguments. The Mithri Federation's crystalline ambassador chimed in harmonic tones of distress, while the silicon-based rotor's electromagnetic emissions sparked with anger. But beneath the outrage, Beth noted the careful diplomatic dance. None of the major powers wanted to challenge the Craxus Empire directly. She glanced down at her datapad, encrypted with quantum protocols that even the most advanced council races couldn't crack. The message from Earth Command was simple: authorization granted. Protocol Thunderbolt is active. The chair recognizes the representative from the Galactic Commerce League, announced the council's AI moderator. A hovering platform carried forward the amorphous form of Director Exenal. The League controlled most of the galaxy's trade routes, and their word carried immense weight. While the League condemns any loss of life, we must consider the complex trade agreements and non-interference treaties that bind our civilizations. Direct intervention in this matter could destabilize centuries of careful economic balance. Beth's hand tightened around her datapad. The League, like the other powers, would hide behind bureaucracy while innocent worlds burned. The Craxus Empire had perfected this game, pushing just far enough to avoid unified opposition, picking off weaker worlds one by one. High Commander Vex Thor's translator conveyed his smug tone perfectly. The League's wisdom is appreciated. Now, regarding the disposition of the former Nexari territories, the chair recognizes the representative from Earth. Beth stood, smoothing her dark blue diplomatic uniform. The chamber's perfect acoustics carried her voice clearly, without need for enhancement. Humanity has listened to these deliberations with great interest. She took measured steps toward the central podium, noting how several representatives shifted uncomfortably. They weren't used to the human habit of physical movement during speeches. For 6 years, Earth has held council membership. We've observed, learned, and come to understand galactic politics. She reached the podium, standing eye to eye with the towering Craxus commander. We've watched worlds fall while this council debates procedures. We've seen species enslaved while trade agreements are cited as barriers to action. If the Earth representative is merely offering commentary, Vex Thor began. I am not offering commentary. Beth's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. I am informing the Council that as of 0600 Earth Standard Time, my government has formally declared war against the Craxus Empire. The chamber exploded into chaos. Vex Thor's translator couldn't keep up with his rapid clicks and hisses. The League representative's form rippled with shock. Beth stood unmoved, her next words falling into a moment of stunned silence. And unlike this council, humanity does not make empty declarations. Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Earth. The elevator descended deeper than most civilians knew existed. Ambassador Elizabeth Morgan stood beside Admiral James Cooper as they dropped past the traditional minority levels into sections that hadn't appeared on any public document since first contact. Nervous Beth. Cooper's weathered face held a slight smile. His white hair and lined features belied the sharp intelligence in his blue eyes. About lying to the entire galaxy? Not anymore. She adjusted her civilian suit, missing the comfort of her diplomatic uniform. The Craxus left us no choice. The elevator doors opened to reveal Operation Thunderbolt's command center. Massive holographic displays covered the walls, showing real-time positions of Earth's hidden fleet. Officers from every major Earth nation worked at quantum-linked stations, coordinating with bases scattered throughout the solar system and beyond. 6 years of playing primitive, Cooper mused, leading Beth toward the central planning table. 6 years of letting them think we barely understood their hand-me-down tech. If the Craxus hadn't gotten greedy, we might have maintained the charade longer. The planning table activated, displaying a 3-dimensional map of known space. Red markers showed Craxus-controlled territories, their empire spreading like a cancer through the galactic arm. Blue markers indicated Earth's hidden forces, positioned with painstaking care over years of covert operations. Captain Sarah Chen, Earth's chief of Xenotechnology Integration, stepped forward with a datapad. Final test results from the Jupiter yards. Admiral, the quantum shield modifications exceed all expectations. Beth studied the technical readouts, 7 different shield technologies combined into one system. The Council races all think their designs are incompatible. They think linearly, Sarah explained, her eyes bright with pride. Each species develops technology along cultural lines. The Mithri perfect crystalline matrices, but ignore quantum fluctuations. The Rudder master electromagnetic fields, but dismiss gravitic potential. Humans take everything apart and put it back together wrong. Cooper finished with a grin. Then we figure out why it works better that way. The display shifted, showing one of Earth's new warships. The design was deliberately crude on the outside, resembling the cargo haulers humanity had been struggling to build. Inside was another story entirely. The Craxus intercepted the construction feeds we wanted them to see. Sarah continued. As far as they know, we're still trying to figure out basic gravitic propulsion. They have no idea we've mastered synthetic singularity drives. Beth walked around the display, noting the weapon emplacements disguised as structural supports. How many ships? 12 full battle groups, Cooper replied. Hidden in asteroid bases, gas giant storms, and quantum-locked space pockets. Plus the home defense grid, which is far more extensive than anyone suspects. Earth isn't just ready for war, Beth. We're ready to win it. A junior officer approached with new intelligence. Sir, the Craxus bombardment of the Nexari colonies is complete. The Council is calling an emergency session. Beth felt her jaw tighten. The Nexari had been peaceful researchers, their only crime being resistance to Craxus protection. Their destruction would serve as the perfect catalyst. Show me the fleet positions again, she ordered. The display obliged, highlighting Earth's hidden forces. Each battle group commanded by veteran officers who had trained for years in secret. Human ingenuity combined with advanced alien tech, transformed into something no single species would have imagined. The Craxus think they've learned warfare, Cooper said softly. They've never faced humans. We spent thousands of years fighting ourselves, developing tactics they can't imagine. Now we've got their technology too. Beth checked the time. The Council session would begin soon. The moment I make the announcement, how long until our forces can engage? Sarah's smile was fierce. That's the beautiful part, Ambassador. Our ships are already in position. We've been ready for weeks, just waiting for your signal. Good. Beth accepted the quantum-encrypted datapad containing her authorization codes. Because I'm done watching worlds burn while the Council debates. A holographic display cast Earth's ships in cold blue light. Humanity's hidden dagger was about to strike, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council chamber descended into pandemonium. High Commander Vex Thor's translator couldn't keep pace with his rapid-fire clicks and hisses, but his body language broadcast pure rage. The League representative's amorphous form churned with patterns that indicated extreme agitation. Beth stood calmly at the podium, letting the chaos wash over her. She counted silently in her head. 3, 2, 1. Her datapad pulsed. Right on schedule. Perhaps the human representative is unfamiliar with galactic law. Vex Thor managed finally, his translator catching up. A species at your development level cannot unilaterally. I'm not finished. Beth's voice cut through the chamber once again. She touched her datapad, and the central holographic display exploded with new information. The image of the burning Mexari worlds vanished, replaced by a real-time strategic display of Krax's space. Dozens of signals began appearing. Then hundreds. Human warships, dropping their quantum stealth fields in perfect synchronization throughout Krax's territory. Supply lines, military installations, shipyards, every strategic target had a human battle group waiting nearby. By the Five Suns, breathed the Mithri representative, crystalline form resonating with shock. Beth allowed herself a small smile. As I said, humanity does not make empty declarations. While the Kraxis Empire believed peaceful worlds, while this council debated procedures, Earth prepared. Those primitive ships you've watched us struggling to build. Decoys, those basic weapons you've seen us test. Deceptions. She gestured to the display, where more human ships continued appearing. Right now, Earth forces are securing every Kraxis military installation in 3 sectors. We're evacuating civilian populations from combat zones and disabling planetary defense grids. The Kraxis Empire has one chance to surrender before we begin dismantling their war machine. Vex Thor's ridge crest flared fully open, a sign of extreme aggression. You dare. Your pathetic species. The holographic display shifted again, showing a Kraxis battlecruiser squadron near their primary shipyards. As the council watched, a human battle group decloaked at point-blank range. The Kraxis ships fired immediately, their energy weapons splashing harmlessly against shields that shouldn't have existed. The human response was devastating. Weapons combining multiple alien technologies with Earth innovations carved through Kraxis defenses like paper. The entire squadron was disabled in under 2 minutes, their ships intact but powerless. We dare, Beth said quietly. Humanity spent 6 years studying every species' technology, every combat doctrine, every strategic weakness. We combined them in ways you never imagined possible. While you dismissed us as primitives, we built something new. The Rota representatives' electromagnetic emissions sparked with sudden understanding. The trade delegations, the cultural exchange programs, the technical assistance requests. All legitimate diplomatic efforts, Beth nodded, and all opportunities to learn. Every species showed us a piece of the puzzle. Humanity simply put those pieces together differently. The League representatives' form stabilized, business instincts overriding shock. The economic implications of this technology level. Earth has been holding back significant capabilities. We had to. Beth's voice carried genuine regret. Until we could demonstrate our strength, our words in this council meant nothing. The Kraxis Empire proved that when they ignored our diplomatic protests over their expansion. Another tactical update flashed across the display. More human ships decloaking, more Kraxis forces neutralized with surgical precision. The council chamber was utterly silent now, every representative watching the unfolding operation with a mixture of fear and awe. Earth does not want galactic domination, Beth continued. We want stability, peace, an end to empire building and unchecked aggression. The Kraxis forced this war by attacking innocent worlds while the council stood idle. Now humanity will show the galaxy a better way. She turned to face Vex Thor directly. Your empire has 1 hour to transmit surrender codes. After that, we stop disabling ships and start destroying them. Choose wisely, Commander. Humanity spent thousands of years practicing warfare on ourselves. You really don't want to see what we can do when we're actually trying." The council chamber remained silent as her words hung in the air. The galaxy's balance of power had just shifted dramatically, and every being present knew it. Humanity had finally shown its teeth, and they were far sharper than anyone had imagined. "Incoming Crax's battle fleet," Lieutenant Commander Jessica Hayes announced from her tactical station aboard the HFY Normandy. "Multiple capital ships detected. They're not bothering with stealth, Captain." Captain Michael Chen nodded, studying the holographic battle plot floating above the bridge's central pit. The Craxus response fleet was massive, nearly 30 capital ships supported by over 100 escorts. They'd stripped their border defenses for this counterattack, exactly as predicted. "Status of Battle Group Thunder?" he asked, his voice calm despite the approaching armada. "All ships in position, sir. Quantum shields at full power. Electronic warfare suites running silent." The bridge of humanity's most advanced warship hummed with quiet efficiency. Every officer present knew they were about to make history. The first major engagement between Earth and Craxus forces would set the tone for the entire war. "They're launching fighter screens," Hayes reported. "Standard Craxus wedge formation. Their targeting systems are actively scanning." Chen allowed himself a small smile. "Still using predictable patterns. Execute Operation Trafalgar." The 8 ships of Battle Group Thunder began moving in ways that defied conventional space combat doctrine. Instead of maintaining a defensive sphere or attack wedge, the human vessels split into seemingly random vectors. The Craxus fleet's targeting computers struggled to establish clear firing solutions on ships that refused to follow expected paths. "Enemy fleet entering primary engagement range," Hayes announced. "They're firing." Space lit up with energy weapons and plasma torpedoes. The Craxus barrage was overwhelming, enough firepower to shatter most defensive formations. But the human ships danced through the storm, their movements based on centuries of naval warfare adapted to three-dimensional space. "Nelson maneuver, mark," Chen ordered. The Normandy and her sister ships executed a complex series of turns that would have been impossible without their synthetic singularity drives. The formation inverted, twisted, and suddenly the human fleet was inside the Craxus firing pattern. Their hybrid weapons opened up at point-blank range, combining multiple alien technologies in ways that bypassed standard defenses. "Multiple hits confirmed," Hayes reported, excitement creeping into her professional tone. "Their shields aren't calibrated for our weapon frequencies. 3 enemy capital ships disabled." The Craxus fleet's neat formation dissolved as they tried to adapt to human combat tactics. Their ships began breaking into smaller units, attempting to isolate and overwhelm individual Earth vessels. It was textbook space combat doctrine, taught at every major military academy in the galaxy. It was also exactly what Chen had planned for. "Execute Ghost Protocol," he ordered. "All ships, deploy electronic warfare packages." The space around the battle erupted with electromagnetic chaos. Sensor ghosts, false targets, and phantom energy readings appeared everywhere. The Craxus targeting systems, designed to counter conventional electronic warfare, were overwhelmed by techniques derived from centuries of Earth's electronic combat evolution. "Enemy fleet showing signs of confusion," Hayes reported. "Their formation is breaking down. Multiple targeting errors detected in their weapon systems." Chen watched the battle plot with satisfaction. The Craxus ships were firing at sensor ghosts, while human vessels slipped through their disorganized lines, striking with precise attacks that disabled rather than destroyed. "Sir, intercepting enemy communications," Communications Officer Torres called out. "Translation incoming. They're saying, 'They fight like demons.' It's being repeated on multiple channels." "Show them how right they are," Chen ordered. "All ships, execute Splitting Storm. Target their command and control nodes." Battle Group Thunder's formation fractured into its component ships, each vessel moving independently yet part of a greater whole. Like a school of predatory fish, they struck from multiple angles, their attacks synchronized with inhuman precision. The Kraxis fleet, already struggling with chaos, began to break. Their rigid command structure couldn't adapt to an enemy that refused to follow conventional tactics. Ships started jumping to hyperspace, retreating from the demons that had shattered their formation. Enemy fleet is withdrawing, Hayes confirmed. 80% of their vessels showing significant damage. No complete destructions as ordered. Battle Group Thunder reports minimal shield depletion and no casualties. Chen nodded, watching the last Kraxis ships flee. Send word to command. The first dance is complete. The galaxy just learned that humanity remembers every war we've ever fought, and we've learned from all of them. As the battle plot cleared, he couldn't help but wonder how the Galactic Council would react to footage of this engagement. Humanity had just proven they weren't just ready for galactic warfare. They were rewriting its rules. Major Marcus Rodriguez crouched in the shadows of the Kraxis detention facility, his advanced stealth suit rendering him nearly invisible. Behind him, 6 other members of Earth Special Operations Team Delta maintained equally perfect stillness. The purple rings of Nexus Prime hung in the sky above the occupied world, casting an ethereal glow across the forbidding structure. Guard rotation in 30 seconds, whispered Lieutenant Maya Williams through their quantum-encrypted comms. She was perched on a nearby ridge, coordinating their insertion with surgical precision. The facility housed thousands of Nexari refugees, survivors from the colonies the Kraxis had destroyed. More importantly, it contained something the Empire desperately wanted to keep hidden: evidence of systematic genetic experimentation on the prisoners. Movement at the North Gate, Maya reported. Looks like our intelligence was correct. They're using standard 3-shift rotation patterns. Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. The Kraxis, like most galactic powers, had grown complacent. They assumed their security protocols were unbreakable because no known species could penetrate them. But humanity had spent millennia perfecting the art of irregular warfare. Team 2 in position, came another whisper through the comms. Captain Sarah Wong's voice was steady as she reported from the facility's opposite side. Local resistance fighters are standing by. The Kraxis had made another critical mistake. They'd assumed conquered populations would remain passive under their rule. They hadn't counted on humans teaching the art of rebellion. Execute, Marcus ordered as the guard rotation began. Delta Team moved like shadows through the facility's defenses. Their stealth technology, combining elements from 6 different alien cloaking systems, rendered them invisible to every type of sensor the Kraxis employed. Each operator carried weapons specifically designed to disable rather than kill. Humanity wanted to win hearts and minds, not create martyrs. The first Kraxis guard didn't even have time to blink before a neural disruptor put him into a peaceful sleep. His partner followed a split second later. Marcus caught both bodies before they could hit the ground, lowering them silently while his team secured the entrance. Control room breached, Sarah reported from the other side of the facility. Local resistance teams performing beautifully. These people have a natural talent for sabotage. Marcus led his team through the corridors, past security systems that hadn't been upgraded in decades. The Kraxis Empire had grown too confident, too set in their ways. They never imagined someone might combine different species technologies in new ways. Found the primary database, Maya announced. Downloading evidence now. The Council's going to have a hard time ignoring this. A slight commotion from the detention blocks caught Marcus's attention. He signaled his team to hold position, then peered around a corner. A Kraxis guard was berating a Nexari prisoner, his translator broadcasting threats in multiple languages. Marcus touched his wrist computer, activating a special program. The guard's translator suddenly began broadcasting soothing music instead of threats. In the moment of confusion, 2 Delta operators materialized from the shadows and neutralized him. Cell blocks secured, Sarah reported. Resistance teams are beginning evacuations through the tunnels. Local underground already has safe houses prepared. Marcus nodded with satisfaction. Humans hadn't just brought advanced technology to this fight. They'd brought centuries of experience in resistance movements. Every occupied world was becoming a nightmare for Craxus forces as local populations learned the arts of sabotage, infiltration, and guerrilla warfare. Package secured, Maya confirmed. Evidence is transmitted and backed up. Time to disappear. Delta Team began their extraction, leaving behind confused Craxus security forces and empty cells. By the time the alarm finally sounded, the rescued prisoners were already safe in underground bunkers, and the Special Operations Team was nothing more than a ghost story for Craxus troops to whisper about. In orbit, the EFS Nightshade waited in quantum stealth mode to extract them. Another successful mission. Another crack in the Craxus Empire's facade of invincibility. Another reminder that humans had spent thousands of years learning the art of unconventional warfare. Mission complete, Marcus reported as his team boarded their extraction shuttle. The galaxy's about to learn why you should never underestimate a species that turned insurgency into an art form. Behind them, the facility's lights flickered as sabotage programs began their work. The Craxus Empire was learning a harsh lesson. Humans didn't just fight with fleets and armies. They brought shadow warfare to the stars, and they taught others to do the same. Ambassador Elizabeth Morgan stood before the Galactic Council's special session, her expression carved from stone. The massive display behind her showed evidence recovered by Earth's special forces, Craxus genetic experimentation labs, slave labor camps, and mass graves on dozens of worlds. The Craxus Empire claims they bring order. Beth's voice carried through the chamber. This is their version of order. This is what the Council has allowed through inaction. High Commander Vexthor rose from his seat, ridge crest flaring. These are fabrications. The human representative brings lies. Every image is authenticated. Beth cut him off. Every recording verified by multiple independent sources. The Mithri Federation's own truth crystals have confirmed the data's integrity. Or are you calling them liars as well? The crystalline Mithri representative chimed in harmonic agreement. Their species' natural ability to detect falsehoods through resonance patterns had made the evidence impossible to dismiss. The League cannot ignore these violations of galactic commerce laws, the amorphous trade representative announced. The use of slave labor alone. A flash of movement caught Beth's eye. Her enhanced combat reflexes, courtesy of Earth's Special Forces training, kicked in before her conscious mind registered the threat. She dropped and rolled as two Craxus assassins materialized from supposedly secure areas of the chamber. The Council erupted in chaos as energy weapons discharge. But Beth was already moving, her diplomatic dress concealing powered armor weave. The first assassin's shot passed through where she'd been standing as she came up in a combat stance. Amateur, she muttered, triggering the neural disruptor built into her bracelet. The assassin dropped, his cloaking device flickering out. The second attacker took aim at the Mithri representative. Beth launched herself forward, crossing the space in 3 enhanced steps. Her fist, augmented by microservos in her sleeve, connected with the assassin's weapon arm. The crack of breaking bones was audible throughout the chamber. Security breach. The Council's automated systems finally caught up with events. Force fields snapped into place as Council security forces rushed in. Beth stood over the groaning assassin, smoothing her dress with one hand while keeping him pinned with her boot. "I believe," she said calmly into the stunned silence. "This proves the Craxus Empire's true nature rather effectively." The Rota representative's electromagnetic emissions crackled with shock. "The human diplomat is combat trained. All Earth's representatives are," Beth replied, stepping back to let security take custody of the assassins. "We learned long ago that peace must sometimes be defended personally." She returned to the podium, not a hair out of place. "Now, as I was saying before the interruption, the evidence before you demands action. Earth has already begun liberating Craxus-held worlds, but we cannot rebuild the galaxy alone. The League representative's form rippled with patterns indicating deep thought. The economic implications of supporting this conflict are far less severe than letting the Craxus continue their expansion, Beth finished. Earth offers favorable trade terms to any world that stands with us. Our technology, previously hidden, is now available to allies. And unlike the Craxus, we believe in fair exchange. She gestured to a new set of displays showing liberated worlds. Already, freed systems are establishing new trade routes. Earth's fleet ensures safe passage. The Nexari botanical technologies alone will transform agriculture on a dozen worlds. The council chamber buzzed with rapid calculations and hasty consultations. Beth had played her hand perfectly, appealing to both moral outrage and economic self-interest. The Mithri Federation stands with Earth, the crystalline representative chimed. Their voice set up sympathetic resonances in the chamber structure. The League will consider new trade agreements, the commerce representative added cautiously. One by one, previously neutral powers began declaring their positions. The Craxus Empire's diplomatic isolation was growing by the minute. Beth kept her expression neutral, but inside she smiled. The galaxy was learning that humans were as dangerous in council chambers as they were on battlefields. Earth welcomes your support, she announced. Together, we will forge a new galactic order. One based on justice and mutual prosperity, not dominion and fear. As the council session continued, Beth sent a coded message to Earth Command. Diplomatic phase proceeding as planned. The galaxy is finally choosing sides, and they're choosing humanity's vision of the future. Massive hyperspace signatures detected. The warning echoed through Earth's Combined Defense Command Center deep beneath Mount Cheyenne. Multiple Craxus battle fleets emerging across the system. Admiral James Cooper stood before the master tactical display, his expression grim but determined. The Craxus Empire had committed everything to this desperate attack on humanity's homeworld. Exactly as predicted. Status of the defense grid, he demanded. Colonel Jennifer Martinez, head of planetary defense, responded instantly. All stations at maximum readiness. Lunar batteries primed. Jupiter defense platforms showing green across the board. Civilian populations in secured bunkers. The tactical display lit up as hundreds of Craxus warships materialized throughout the solar system. They'd stripped their remaining territories of defenders for this all-or-nothing strike at Earth. Their command ship, a massive dreadnought nearly 15 kilometers long, emerged from hyperspace just beyond lunar orbit. Message from the Craxus flagship, communications reported. High Commander Vexthor demands Earth's immediate surrender, or they'll reduce our planet to molten slag. Cooper allowed himself a small smile. Send them our response. Welcome to Sol. You're about to learn why humans always plan for the worst. The Craxus fleet began their advance, weapons charging. They'd expected to find a weakly defended homeworld, most of its forces deployed to the front lines. Instead, they found humanity's greatest fortress. Execute Operation Fortress Earth, Cooper ordered. The space around Earth transformed. Hundreds of defensive platforms shed their stealth fields, their weapon systems online. The lunar surface opened to reveal massive artillery installations. The asteroid belt came alive with hidden missile platforms. Multiple targeting solutions acquired, Martins reported. Defense grid has fire control. Standing by. Cooper watched the Craxus fleet's formation. Their tactical doctrine was sound by conventional standards, a layered assault designed to overwhelm planetary defenses through sheer numbers. Launch the swarm. From Earth's polar regions, tens of thousands of autonomous combat drones lifted off. Each one carried advanced electronic warfare packages and just enough weaponry to be lethal. They filled the space between Earth and the approaching fleet like a cloud of angry insects. The enemy fleet is launching fighters, Tactical announced. They're trying to establish a clear firing lane to the surface. Activate the gravity nets. Hidden generators throughout the solar system activated, creating overlapping fields of distorted space. Craxus ships found their carefully planned approach vectors disrupted, their formations scattered by invisible forces. "They're pushing through," Martins warned. "First wave approaching weapons range." Cooper nodded. "Show them why you don't attack a species that spent millennia preparing for doomsday." Earth's defenses opened fire. Hybrid weapons combining technologies from a dozen species struck with devastating precision. The swarm drones penetrated enemy formations, their electronic warfare suites wreaking havoc with Craxus targeting systems. "Enemy first wave showing heavy losses," Tactical reported. "Their shields aren't configured for our weapon frequencies." The massive Craxus dreadnought pushed forward, its enormous weapons preparing to fire. Cooper had been waiting for this moment. Execute Sunstrike Protocol. Hidden antimatter facilities on Mercury's surface powered up. The solar collectors that the Craxus had dismissed as primitive energy gathering systems revealed their true purpose. A focused beam of stellar plasma, contained and directed by magnetic fields, lanced out toward the dreadnought. Direct hit on enemy command ship. The tactical officer's voice rose with excitement. "Their shields are failing." The dreadnought's massive hull began to glow as solar plasma ate through its defenses. Secondary explosions cascaded along its length as internal systems overloaded. Message from the Craxus fleet. Communications called out. They're requesting surrender terms. Cooper straightened his uniform. "Tell them Earth accepts their surrender. Remind them that we could have built this defense grid as a weapon of conquest. Instead, we built it to protect our home. Let them think about what that says about humanity's priorities." As the Craxus fleet powered down their weapons, Cooper sent a message to Ambassador Morgan at the Galactic Council. "Earth's defense successful. Minimal casualties on both sides. The galaxy just learned why you don't attack a species that turned paranoid preparation into an art form." Above, Earth's atmosphere shimmered with the aftermath of battle, while humanity's homeworld stood unscathed, protected by the combined ingenuity and determination of a species that had spent its entire history preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. The Galactic Council chamber felt different now. Ambassador Elizabeth Morgan stood at the central podium, but this time she wasn't the representative of a minor species. The gathered diplomats watched her with a mixture of respect, curiosity, and just enough fear to ensure they paid attention. Before her knelt High Commander Vexthor, once proud ruler of the Craxus Empire, now here to formally surrender his forces. The defeated Earth had broken the Empire's back and shattered their myth of invincibility. "The terms are non-negotiable," Beth stated, her voice carrying easily through the chamber. "All occupied worlds will be liberated. All enslaved populations freed. All weapons of mass destruction surrendered to Earth's control." Vexthor's ridge crest lay flat against his skull, a sign of submission. "The Craxus Empire accepts these terms," his translator conveyed. "We ask only for protection for our civilian populations. Unlike your empire, Earth does not take revenge on civilians," Beth replied. "Your core worlds will remain autonomous under supervision. Your people will learn to live in peace with their neighbors." The League representatives' form rippled with approval patterns. "Earth's handling of this conflict has been instructive. You've shown remarkable restraint in victory." Beth allowed herself a small smile. Humanity learned long ago that true victory isn't about destruction. It's about building something better from the ashes of conflict. She activated the chamber's main display, showing the reconstruction efforts already underway. Freed worlds were receiving humanitarian aid. Earth's advanced technology was helping restore devastated ecosystems. Former enemies were learning to cooperate under human guidance. "The Galactic Council stands at a crossroads," Beth continued. "The old order of power blocks and sphere of influence is ending. Earth proposes a new framework for galactic cooperation." The display shifted to show a complex network of trade routes, defense agreements, and mutual aid pacts. At its heart was the Sol system, not as an imperial capital, but as a nexus of cooperation. "Humanity brings something unique to the galaxy," Beth explained. "We've spent thousands of years divided, fighting ourselves. We learned the hard way that strength comes not from dominance, but from unity. Not from conquest, but from cooperation. The Mithri representative's crystalline form chimed in harmony. Earth's methods are unorthodox, but effective. Their technology combines aspects we thought incompatible. Their tactics defy conventional doctrine. Yet they use these capabilities for defense, not conquest. Because we remember our history, Beth nodded. Every empire that sought dominion eventually fell. But alliances built on mutual respect and common interests endure. She gestured to the surrendered Craxus leader. Even our former enemies have a place in this new order, if they choose to take it. Earth believes in redemption as strongly as we believe in justice. The council chamber buzzed with discussion as species that had been enemies for centuries considered the possibilities. Earth's victory had reshuffled the galaxy's power structure, but instead of imposing their will, humans were offering partnership. The League supports Earth's proposal, the Commerce representative announced. Their economic models show remarkable innovation. One by one, other powers added their support. Even former Craxus client states, now free to choose their own path, voted in favor of the new framework. Beth sent a final message to Earth Command. Framework approved. The galaxy is uniting, not under our dominion, but under our guidance. They're beginning to understand that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our tactics. It's our ability to learn from our mistakes and imagine a better future. She looked out over the council chamber, seeing not conquered subjects or defeated enemies, but partners in building something new. Humanity had stunned the galaxy not just with their military might, but with their vision of what the galaxy could become. The war is over, she announced to the chamber. Now the real work begins. Earth stands ready to help forge this new era. Together, we will build something greater than any empire. We will build a galaxy worthy of all our people's highest aspirations. Above the council chamber, Earth's ships stood guard not as conquerors, but as protectors. Humanity had shown the galaxy both their strength and their wisdom. Now they would show them something even more important, the path to lasting peace.